Berlin, April 1945. The capital of the Reich stands on the edge of extinction. Soviet artillery rains fire from the east, and the night sky glows red with ruin. Streets are rubble. Buildings hollow shells echoing with screams and silence. Civilians huddle in basements, praying the thunder above passes by. Every corner smells of smoke, dust, and despair. The mighty city Hitler once called the heart of his empire is now a graveyard. Even the Luftwaffe cannot fly. The sky belongs to the Red Army. In the distance, tank treads crush what's left of stone and hope. Radio towers fall one by one, cutting communication and morale. Berlin's defenses are collapsing, but deep underground, the Führer refuses to see. He orders the maps laid out again. Hands trembling yet commanding, the final act of the Third Reich begins beneath the burning earth. Under the Reich Chancellery lies a concrete maze, cold, damp, claustrophobic. Here, Adolf Hitler has withdrawn from the world he once ruled with terror. The walls are lined with steel doors and flickering bulbs barely holding light. Air is stale, heavy with cigarette smoke and fear. Secretaries, guards, and aides move like ghosts through narrow corridors. Above, the world burns. Below, whispers replace gunfire. Eva Braun dances to a gramophone record, pretending it's still 1939. Joseph Goebbels paces the hall, murmuring propaganda to no one. The smell of gasoline mixes with mold and desperation. A small dog, Blondie, lies at Hitler's feet, his last loyal companion. The bunker clock ticks endlessly, marking time for a dying empire. Every hour here feels like eternity in a tomb of concrete. Gathered in the bunker are the final loyalists of a fading dream, Joseph and Magda Goebbels, the propaganda minister, and his devout wife, Martin Bormann, shadowy secretary, controlling access to the Führer, Generals Jodl and Krebs, still drafting impossible military orders. Eva Braun, radiant in defiance, smiling through doom. Secretaries like Traudl Jung typing Hitler's last words on rattling machines. SS guards stand rigid, their faith as hollow as the bunker walls. Each pretends hope remains, though all sense the approaching end. Conversations are muted, no laughter, only forced loyalty. Rumors whisper of betrayal, of surrender, of cyanide capsules. The hierarchy of fear holds everyone in place. The Reich's last court performs its tragic play underground. Outside, Soviet troops tighten their ring around Berlin. Marshal Zhukov's armies advance block by block, street by street. T-34 tanks roll through the Brandenburg Gate, crushing the last resistance. German boys of the Hitler Youth fight with rifles too heavy for their hands. The SS demands loyalty, even from the dying and the young. Flames rise over the Tiergarten as ammunition depots explode. Civilians flee through sewers, hunted by shells and soldiers alike. Banners of surrender appear from shattered windows, ignored by snipers. The once proud city has become a battlefield of ghosts. Inside the bunker, Hitler rages, calling phantom armies into battle. His map room glows red from the candles burning over lost divisions. Reality has collapsed, but delusion keeps command. Hitler refuses to believe the situation is hopeless. He demands General Wank's non-existent army move to relieve Berlin. Each briefing grows shorter, each outburst louder. The generals speak softly. Knowing truth now equals treason. Reports of captured cities are hidden or rewritten. Maps are filled with arrows that lead nowhere but fantasy. He still imagines counterattacks that will never come. Outside, the last defenders fall silent, out of bullets and breath. The bunker's radio crackles. Germany's allies are gone. Silence answers. Food runs low, morale even lower. Still, Hitler insists he will not flee or surrender. Better to die in Berlin, he whispers, than to live in defeat. Days blend into nights. Clocks lose meaning in the bunker. The temperature never changes, and the air feels heavy with endings. Meals are rationed, mostly canned goods and weak coffee substitutes. Soldiers outside the door listen for Soviet footsteps in the rubble. Typewriters echo through hallways, punctuating despair. Secretaries gossip quietly, hiding fear behind routine. Eva Braun tries to lift spirits, hosting small dinners and smiles. But laughter sounds foreign in this tomb of concrete and denial. The Goebbels children play with crayons under portraits of the Führer. Even they sense the strange silence that fills the air. Every corridor hums with the unspoken truth. The war is lost, yet no one dares to say it aloud. On April 22, 1945, Hitler emerges to address his staff. His face is pale, his hands tremble, his voice thin and broken. He admits finally that the war is lost, but he vows never to leave Berlin, never to surrender to the Soviets. The bunker grows silent as his final decision echoes outside. Artillery shakes the walls, dust raining from the ceiling. Eva Braun looks on, eyes filled with doomed devotion. Goebbels praises Hitler's courage. Feeding delusion one last time, the secretaries cry. Sensing history turning dark before their eyes, Hitler retreats to his private room, muttering about betrayal. In that silence, a nation's nightmare nears its final breath. The dictator of Europe is now a prisoner of his own creation. April 29th, Hitler dictates his last will and testament. He blames the Jews, his generals, and the world for Germany's fall. Still blind to his crimes, he sees himself as betrayed, not defeated. Eva Braun sits nearby, calm and smiling, signing her own farewell. Trottel Jung types every word. With trembling fingers, outside, Soviet shells pound the Reich Chancellery above. In another room, cyanide capsules are quietly distributed. Goebbels vows to die beside his Führer. His wife plans her children's fate. Bormann prepares for the chaos to come after Hitler's death. The document seals not just a life, but a nightmare's end. Ink on paper, testimony of madness and delusion. By morning, all signatures are complete. Destiny is set. In the early hours of April 29th, Hitler marries Eva Braun. It's a ceremony of shadows. Short and silent, a civil officer conducts it by candlelight amid crumbling walls. They exchange vows as artillery shakes the floor. Eva smiles, wearing a simple blue dress. Her eyes calm. She has waited for this moment through years of denial. Witnesses sign the certificate. Goebbels, Bormann, Jung. Afterward, they share champagne and chipped glasses. The newlyweds pose briefly for a photograph. Grim smiles. Hollow joy. A toast to a future that will never arrive. The bunker smells of smoke and perfume, of endings. Above them, the Soviet army closes in. By April 30th, Soviet soldiers are only blocks away. The sounds of battle echo through the Chancellery garden. Hitler tests cyanide on his dog Blondie to ensure its potency. When she dies instantly, the room falls silent. He nods grimly, proof the end will be quick. Eva prepares calmly, applying makeup, fixing her hair. They retreat to their private quarters one last time. Goebbels stands outside the door, tears hidden behind fanatic pride. Moments later, a single gunshot breaks the silence. Guards enter. The Führer is dead, Eva beside him. Poisoned. Gasoline is poured over the bodies and set alight in the garden. The empire burns with them. After Hitler's death, Joseph and Magda Goebbels follow his path. They refuse to flee or surrender to the Soviets. Magda sedates her 6 children with morphine, then poison. She says they cannot live in a world without National Socialism. The children lie peacefully, unaware of the madness around them. Joseph writes a final letter, calling Hitler the greatest man of our time. Outside, Soviet soldiers shout through the ruins. That night, the Goebbels couple steps into the garden. They take cyanide and are shot to ensure death. Their bodies burn beside the ruins of the Chancellery. Silence falls, an empire of lies reduced to ashes. Only smoke and echoes remain. May 1st, Soviet troops storm the Reich Chancellery ruins. They find smoke, silence, and scattered remains. The once feared symbol of Nazi power is now a shattered bunker. Soldiers tread cautiously, unsure what they'll find below. They uncover charred bodies in the garden, unrecognizable. Inside, documents, maps, and typewriters lie abandoned. The stench of death and gasoline fills every corridor. Zhukov's men declare the battle for Berlin complete. Above ground, the Soviet flag rises over the Reichstag. The war in Europe is nearly over. But in the bunker's ashes lies a grim reminder. Absolute power always ends in ruin. Berlin is silent except for the cries of survivors. The Red Army begins the grim task of identifying the dead. Rumors swirl that Hitler escaped, stories that will last for decades. But forensic evidence will later confirm his suicide. The bunker is sealed, then buried beneath post-war rubble. All around, Berliners emerge from cellars into a new world. Children play among ruins, women clear bricks for rebuilding. The Nazi dream dissolves into dust and memory. Germany lies broken, divided among victors. For many, the nightmare still echoes. In the silence of the city, the Führerbunker fades from sight, but not from history. It remains a symbol of madness, loyalty, and destruction. In the years that followed, bunker survivors told their stories. Trottel Jung recalled the fear, the whispers, the end of illusion. Rochus Misch, Hitler's bodyguard, remembered the final gunshot. Their testimonies painted a portrait of decay and denial. They spoke of Hitler's trembling hands, his fading voice, of secretaries who cried while typing history's end, of a leader who refused to see the ruins above his head. Their words became the final witnesses to a dying regime. Each story peeled away the myth to reveal the man broken. Delusional, the bunker became not a fortress, but a tomb. History would preserve their memories as warnings. Never again should such blindness take root. Today, the bunker's remains lie hidden under a parking lot in Berlin. No monument, no marker, only silence over history's darkest room. Tourists walk unknowingly above the place where a world ended. Historians debate the meaning of those final days. Was it courage, cowardice, or madness that held them there? The story endures as a study of power's ultimate decay, of how one man's delusion consumed millions of lives. The final days in the Berlin bunker remind us what tyranny becomes: a closed space, a fading echo, a self-made grave. The past cannot be buried, only remembered. For in remembrance lies the only form of justice left, and the warning: never follow shadows into the dark again.